going to have an legal show. And obviously, I am coming your way tonight with immigration. I know most of you love immigration. For the past 3 weeks, I've been doing different areas of law because, as I always say, Citilaw Solicitors, we want viewers to benefit from the variety of legal areas because we know that people live in houses that they may be having disrepair problems. We know that people work, they may be having accidents at workplaces, so we want to deal with their personal injury matters. And then we also know that people need to know their employment rights so that they can enjoy what they call work and happiness. Tonight we are going to do something quite distinct. We're going to look at immigration, but specifically with a skilled worker and the conditions. And for the past few months, we've been announcing the frontline care workers. We've been talking a lot about skilled workers, how people can migrate from wherever they are globally and then come to the UK to work as professionals. But quite interestingly, now we have the frontline care workers having been added to the skilled worker route since 2022, February 15th. So it's been almost a month anniversary, I should say, that this scheme has been in place. So tonight is a good time for us to start talking about it. But obviously, whilst people are here, they need to understand the conditions that abide by their visas. So tonight, I'm going to discuss with you how to avoid cancellation of either your student visa or your sponsorship visa. Because these types of visas have become quite significant after the UK's exit from the EU. We've noticed that because of the shortage of workers, which I have announced here a couple of times, that we've been, with the last quarter, there is a shortage of about 250,000 in various sectors of the economy. So when we talk about skilled workers, we know that day in, day out, people are getting these opportunities to come to the UK. And we also know some of the employers that we work with them and the kind of struggle they are having to go through to recruit. So obviously, there are challenges for these employers. Hence the reason this care worker scheme, including the frontline care workers, has been put in place. But lack of knowledge might most times be a problem for most of us. And as I speak to you, a lot of care workers or those who have care companies are struggling to recruit, and most of them are not even aware there is a scheme that allows them to be able to recruit globally. So we will continue to be making this announcement until such time that this news, good news, gets to all corners of the globe, especially for those who want to take advantage of it. So tonight, I am talking to you directly. I'm urging you that please share this video to your friends and family members, because I'm going to discuss something quite distinct by looking at how you can avoid cancellation of your student visa and those of your dependents, and also be looking at how you can avoid cancellation of your sponsorship visa. Whenever I come on this platform, I come here because I know that there are people who have been assisted, including some of us, assisting them to apply for sponsorship licenses, and they are issuing certificate of sponsorship to recruit people. But they don't know the conditions therein. So most of these people who have had sponsorship visas, in the end, may end up that the glorious news of leading to indefinite leave to remain may be quite evasive, or they be eluded of that opportunity simply because the conditions therein have not been abided by. And this is your opportunity to enjoy free legal advice, proudly brought to you by Citilaw Solicitors. And that's why I'm urging you, watching me tonight, that please, you share the good news. You help us spread the good news. You help us fulfill our corporate social responsibility by educating the public on their legal rights in the United Kingdom. So tonight, please share the video. This program is being broadcast on City Media TV on Facebook. You can watch this program on my own profile, Thomas, very obviously. You can also watch this program on YouTube, Citilaw Solicitors channel. And most interestingly, those of you who are at work and may not have the luxury of watching this program online, you haven't lost out because we've made provisions for you. You can equally listen to City Media Radio. So none of us have any excuse, no reasonable excuse not to watch this program tonight. And obviously there is a lot packed in here tonight for our viewers, because this is a very popular area and most people may have family members who are either on student visa, family members who are either on sponsorship visas or on a skilled workers route, or even frontline workers, even nurses. They need to know their rights. So I'm just going to go for a short commercial break so that you watching me can share the video to your friends and family members. And then when I come back, I start the whole show, and then within a matter of 30 minutes, I'll finish this show tonight. But obviously, I'll give opportunity for people to ask questions if the need arises that people want to clarify issues or some of the stuff that I've discussed tonight. So please, don't go away. Just hold on. In a matter of seconds after this commercial break, I'll join you. thank you, everyone, for your patience. As I said right from the beginning, tonight is going to be quite interesting because obviously I'm going to look at a topic that is quite popular. And it's quite distinct because of the fact that a lot of people have had issues in the past because they have not followed the conditions of those visas. So if you have just joined me tonight, I'm looking at obviously how you could avoid cancellation of either your student visa or sponsorship visa. Now, to give a brief background, starting with the students, obviously if somebody wants to come and study in this country, that person has opportunity to apply to any of the universities, provided that they are given unconditional offer and they're able to satisfy the maintenance requirement. Then of course they will be granted visas, and of course depending on the amount of maintenance they can afford, they can also come along with their dependents who could be their spouses and children. So and a lot of us have family members and friends who normally apply using the student route, popularly known as Tier 4, and then they just come in and then study. And of course, now these days we have the post-study, which is also in place so that if you're able to complete your course successfully, you're able to get a visa that allows you to work for some time whilst you look around to switch to any other route. And students have been quite significant in the role they play in the UK's economy and in terms of the finance that they also bring along and the job they create in those cities where these universities are. So they are quite important that they can never be ignored, irrespective of whatever is going on in terms of online studies and all that. So tonight I'm going to look at some of the conditions and why people sometimes get into trouble with their student visas. So if you have a student visa, normally you will know that every visa, if you look at the section 5 or part 9 of the rules, every visa that is granted, there are grounds or there are conditions for those visas. And as I said, I'm just starting with a student visa. So you realize that there are conditions. And normally when people have had these visas, sometimes they get to the border and then they start having difficulties. Or sometimes, especially those of you who may want to one day apply for the post-study. From experience, Home Office normally, they are normally like police officers. They don't come to your house to disturb you. But whenever somebody reports you and they come into your life, then they take opportunity to investigate. So most of the Home Office, even if you're a student, they might not even have any interest in you in terms of what you are doing or what you are not doing. But the moment you are making application to switch from either a student to post-study or a spouse or any other category, then of course that is when Home Office begins to investigate and comes out with the fact that that visa that you are holding is not even valid. And most times people become aware that their visas have been curtailed long after the decision has been made. But people can avoid such calamities by obviously abiding by those conditions. So let's look at the start of these conditions. The conditions start to bite even before one enters this country with that student visa. Now, I'm sure most of you are students perhaps watching me would have heard stories when people are coming, they get to the border and then they are stopped. The first condition, for example, if you have successfully been granted a student visa and your course has a start date, then you should not be more than 28 days late for the course. So most times when people are more than 28 days late for the course, whenever they get to the entry point, the immigration officer has the right to cancel that visa. And most of you will be familiar. Sometimes they will take your passport from you and tell you that go and find out from the school if you are able to continue with the program with them. Otherwise, this tentative decision of curtailing your leave will stand. And most times, sometimes the school will say that, well, maybe you are late, which means that you have to go back to wherever you made your initial application and enjoy another program, or come the following year. People can avoid these calamities by simply being aware that they should not be more than 28 days for the start of their course. But obviously, there is a watershed whenever these decisions are made. For example, if you are 28 days late for the start of the program, then, as I've already explained, you may have this consequence. But more importantly, if, for example, there are unauthorized absences, I always say that the sponsorship certificate, those who have been given sponsorship licenses, they have conditions that they must abide by. So if once joins a program and there are unauthorized absences, or he doesn't enroll or continue the program, then in that sense, that particular school who owns the sponsorship license have a duty, because they also have obviously licensing conditions to fulfill, which involves reporting any student who have not shown up for the course. Again, once those reports are made, those visas sometimes, in most cases, are curtailed. But of course, I am not saying that it's in all cases. It's only when those schools have actually made these reports to Home Office and given names of those parties that have failed to show up for the course. Then under those circumstances, those people may have the consequence of those visas being curtailed. And of course, when there are even unauthorized absences, then eventually those visas could also be curtailed. And obviously, people also know that when you are working in this country, you obviously work with your national insurance number. And when Home Office want to delve into your case, they could just track your employment history. And especially during term time, if you work more than 20 hours, that can have a consequence. Of course, whenever these stuff are going on, no decision will be made until such time that perhaps you want to do renewal or you want to switch to another category. That's when people begin to experience some of these difficulties. But more importantly, what is the effect of the watershed? The effect of the watershed is that if one finds himself or herself in any of these scenarios that I've just described, then sadly, the dependent, being it a wife or husband, and the children, so they also cease to have those valid leaves. Because once that main student's visa has been revoked, then obviously the dependents, whether wife or children, they will have theirs equally revoked. And most times, people will say, oh, lawyer, mine is still valid because I'm using it to work. Yes, of course. Because you have the visa obviously on record. Employers are not obliged to obviously check your leave when you have photographic evidence, and initially, which sometimes initially has been checked. It's only when the visa is coming to its expiry date, that's when they normally have a duty to check and ensure that there have either been a renewal or a change of circumstance, or whichever way that allows you to work legally. But there's that watershed effect when dependents, including children and spouses, also get their leaves revoked under those circumstances. So obviously, this is a piece of advice to students in these categories, and the sort of things that they might seek to avoid in order not to find themselves in some of these problems. But having said this, I said that tonight's discussion is going to be very, very substantive. I want to look at skilled workers, frontline care workers, nurses, those in that category, because obviously this is another popular area. And I'm happy to say that a lot of people are getting these visas, because I've already said on this platform that there is a shortage, and the nature of that shortage means that employers who have these licenses are free to recruit as many people as they want to recruit under those licenses, because they need those people's services. And this is the opportunity for people who also want to come and work. But obviously, I know that when people come to work, they have that intention mostly to live here permanently. And of course, most of these visas, which is the skilled worker visa, apart from the frontline care workers, which is valid for a year. For those of you who are watching me for the first time, let me just take a few minutes to explain what frontline care workers are. And of course, I'm going to explain some of these categories and how people will be able to make applications successfully. But my topic for tonight, most significantly, is looking at how to abide by those conditions once you have that visa in your hands, so that it cannot be revoked. And also, not having that side effect or the watershed effect of your dependents having suffered the same fate as you. So, if you are watching me for the first time, frontline care workers is a scheme that was introduced on the 5th. It became operational on the 15th of February, just last month. Today is a 1 month anniversary, which became operational 15th of February. It's a kind of scheme. That is the only scheme under the skilled worker route that have the lowest salary threshold and the lowest qualification requirements. The reason being that to be recruited from Ghana, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, America, Switzerland, Germany, including all the EU member states, because obviously EU states are no longer entitled to free movement right, so they are equally categorized under the same route. So if you are from Germany or whatever and you want to move here with your family, then of course the frontline care worker route is also another opportunity. And that is the route that has the lowest qualification requirement. Why? Because you only need B1 certificate. And that B1 certificate comprises of reading, writing, listening, and comprehension. So you have to comprehend, you have to be able to read, you have to be able to write. So once you can do all these four stuff in English, then of course you have met the relevant qualification. Then what you need to have is a sponsor, somebody who have a care company that is willing to recruit you to make you a frontline care worker. And the salary requirements, this is where I'll come in when I'm looking at how to avoid the cancellation. It's about 20,480. So once you have met the English requirement, you have had the certificate of sponsorship from a licensed sponsor, then of course, you and your dependents can obviously come in with application fee as low as around £436. So for those of you watching me for the first time, this is about the frontline care workers. And I know that there are a lot of care companies who are not aware of this scheme. And because of these campaigns in between, every now and then, we are getting people who are coming forward for us to do these applications for them. So if you know any family member who owns a care company who is struggling to be able to recruit, and I represent some of them in their corporate affairs, so I know the struggle they go through, especially those who do domiciliary and all that, the struggle they go through in getting someone to do those jobs or those contracts that they have won from local authorities. But some of them are not aware that this scheme is there, that the only requirement that they need to satisfy is to show that they have established business and they have the CQC license, so that they can simply get a license It's just 8 weeks. These days, we even have those that we are doing priority service. And the fee is just £536. So if we are doing the priority service for you, it's much quicker and you just pay £500. And you get the license to be able to do all these things that I'm talking about. So for those of you who have family members who may be interested in this sponsorship license, if they find a good lawyer, I'm sure he'll be able to help. But hey, most importantly, if you don't have one, don't forget Citilaw Solicitors is here to help you. So that's about the frontline care workers. Let me look at the scale workers. The scale workers, last time I gave, in fact, the list is endless. I said that even GEM, trained GEM staff are part of it. We have probation officers, we have social workers, we have managers, all kinds of professional careers or roles are included. But the only difference between the frontline care workers and this care worker, even though it's under the same hood, is that most of them may require you to have a degree, but obviously, or to have the relevant qualification in that particular field. And then, of course, the salary requirement is much higher, about approximately 26,000. Again, if you have a business and you are struggling to recruit, you could also get a license in order to do that. So, when we say skilled worker, we are looking at these roles that I've just described succinctly. But I know that a lot of you, some of you that watching us, that we have probably made application for license, and eventually some of you are recruiting here and there. What I want you to take from what I'm doing tonight, and you as a worker, or you as an employer who owns or who has sponsorship license. So I'm talking to two parties here. And these two parties, I want to have their maximum attention, because what I'm going to discuss here within the next 7 minutes is quite significant to the existence of their sponsorship licenses and those people's right to work. So to start with, if you were granted sponsorship visa as a skilled worker, either frontline care worker or as a skilled worker, and you are working for a business, there is a salary threshold. And obviously, you need to check with your employer whether you're receiving the relevant salary threshold. Because if you are not receiving the relevant salary threshold as prescribed by law, then when it comes to the point that you may have to switch or apply for indefinite leave to remain, you will struggle. Because I have already said that for frontline care workers, you can't pay them less than 20,480. If you pay them below that threshold, that person's visa can be revoked. And I want people to take notice of it. And most importantly, the employer who is also paying that person below that threshold can also have that license revoked. And of course, I'm going to explain what happens if the sponsor's license is revoked. Obviously, there is a major problem for all the employees who are operating under that license. So that's one of the conditions. Salary threshold. And it's essence of meeting it, because if you don't meet it, then there is the risk that either your visa can be cancelled, or when it comes to the point where you are revoking or trying to apply for indefinite leave to remain, you may be refused on the basis that you didn't meet the relevant threshold when you had your skilled worker visa. The next point that I want people to take note is absences. Now, with regards to those of you who are working under those visas as frontline care workers, as skilled workers, when it comes to absences, there are prescribed absences that are exempted For example, if you're going for maternity leave, if you're going for sick leave, if you're going for jury service. Other than that, any other unauthorized absence can lead to revocation of that person's visa. And I want people to take note of this second point. Obviously, if you are British or you have an indefinite leave to remain, for whatever reason you cannot go to work, and you don't have any reason, perhaps the maximum sanction will be dismissal. But for those of you with this skilled worker visas or sponsorship visas, frontline care workers, nurses, if there is unauthorized absence, it doesn't only lead to dismissal, but it could also lead to revocation of your visa. So that's the second point I want people to take note of in order to maintain the validity of their visas whilst they are still living in the UK. But having said that, I also want people to know that you can't simply change your employer. So you may have that visa, and the danger is that sometimes people will take that visa to another employer, and they will be employed. And they think that for the fact that perhaps the other employer was not paying them more money, and they have now moved on to another employer who is going to offer them more wages, then they are better off with the one that gives the best bid than staying with the status quo. But the danger here is that apart from transfer undertaking under the employment law, which is 2P, and even when there is a 2P, whichever employer that takes over the business must either have a license or has statutory period to apply for that license. And if that employer fails, it means that those operating under that business, which has been 2P, will have their sponsorship visas revoked. So people, third point, people should know that they cannot simply switch employers. They can only switch employers if those employers have the relevant licenses that they are also willing to sponsor them. Because if they do that, then there's a likelihood that those visas will equally be revoked. So obviously, when people have come in to continue to work with those visas, then they must be mindful of some of these things that I'm also talking about. But the fourth point is that receiving a low salary. I've already mentioned the financial threshold, but I'm also saying that in the cases where the employer, for whatever reason, might decide that because of the fact that the work is not busy, or because of one reason or the other, they decide to move those people onto a low salary, then of course, once that person who is on that relevant visa is receiving a low salary, as a fourth point, that could also lead to that visa being revoked. So tonight I want viewers to understand that these four areas are so significant to the existence, and it goes to the heart of those visas that these people are relying upon for their status, either leading to indefinite leave to remain, or either being able to stay here legally and continue to work. But most importantly, I always want to talk about the watershed effect. Because the watershed effect, in my view, is so important for people to be aware of. Now, what happens to a skilled worker, a frontline care worker, or a nurse, or a professional, or a gym trainer, gym and fitness trainer, who has obviously had problem with any of these four areas that I've just described? Then of course, it's most likely that if that person has a spouse who are equally dependent on him or her, and have children who are also dependent on him or her, then it means that once that person's visa is revoked, then obviously those dependents, namely the children and the husband or wife, will also suffer the same fate. So it is for these reasons that we must not take it lightly, the conditions regarding these visas. Because if these conditions are not continuously satisfied, then there is a danger that there will be a multiplier effect. And that effect will mean that it's not just that person who is on a skilled workers visa that will be revoked or cancelled, but in fact, even the dependents, such as wife or husband and their children. So tonight I want viewers to take note of some of these things, because I am very much aware that once most people get the skilled worker visa, and even including employers, once they have offered a visa and the people are working and they have the 5 years, they think that is the end of the matter. And I'm not saying that people are not abiding by the rules, but out of ignorance, when people don't know that these conditions continuously needs continuous satisfaction. And if people don't continuously satisfy these conditions, then those visas that they are holding in their hands, they might think that they are valid, but in fact, they may have been cancelled long before they become aware of the decision. And that's what I want viewers to know tonight. Because obviously, lack of knowledge, as the biblical word will say, my people will perish. So tonight, Citilaw Solicitors is here to give you this free legal advice so that people who are on these visas, including those who are seeking to make applications under those routes, will be much conscious or aware of the conditions surrounding some of these visas and what they can do in order to fall into that pit or that danger of having had their visas that they have fought so much for being revoked. Now, at this point, permit me to, obviously, before I come to the end of the show, I'm going to open the phone line, but let me market Citilaw Solicitors. Because Citilaw Solicitors is the firm that is sponsoring me on this platform. It is Citilaw Solicitors that have allows me to stay here tonight and be talking to you and be giving you this free legal advice. So don't go away as I take this short opportunity to advertise Citilaw Solicitors to you. Citilaw Solicitors, if you don't know, as is a highly diverse firm, highly diverse with multicultural background. And we specialize in various areas of law that ensure that everyone's legal needs are met. So, who is Citilaw Solicitors? Citilaw Solicitors is located at Barking, very close to the Barking station. Obviously, if you get to the station and you come out of the station, as soon as you spot the KFC and you turn right, you see a very beautiful building called Barking Enterprise Center. That's where you find Citilaw Solicitors. So you find Citilaw Solicitors there. I'll put the phone lines whilst I'm going through the advert. If for whatever reason you want to make a call to clarify any legal matter, as long as I have the knowledge and the capability to answer it, I will answer you. Tonight is your opportunity to get free legal advice. And please, every advice I give here under Citilaw disclaimer is for guidance only. If you want to rely on it to make any application or to proceed on any matter, we advise that you seek legal assistance. And if you don't have a lawyer, you can come to us for proper advice. The reason I say this is that most of these things that I've said here, obviously you may want to get more information in order to assist you to be able to remedy some of the things that have already happened and all that. And this is a very short time program, so I will not be able to go through every detail. And that is why we have a disclaimer. So Citilaw Solicitors, as I've said, if you were looking for us, we are in Barking. We are just at the heart of Barking Center. And then if you get to Barking Enterprise Center, the building is there. That's where you find Citilaw Solicitors. If you want the full address, is Unit 113 or 112 50 Cambridge Road, Barking, IG11 8FJ. If you want to reach us on our telephone number, obviously the telephone number is 02033550782. This is the office number that can be answered 24 hours. So don't hesitate to get in touch if you have any legal matter. Tonight, it's been a privilege meeting you. At the same time, I want you to know that we do immigration. We do all areas of immigration. We do nationality law, we do immigration, we do the European law. Remember, we are still doing late applications for European Union nationals and their third country family members. And those late applications may include those who have their wives and husbands abroad who want to still bring them to the UK, those who for whatever reason could not do their settlement scheme and get the residence card, and they want to do it because they were here before December 2020. Our doors are open to you. We are here to assist you. Those of you who did the application yourself, and obviously things are getting difficult and you are being refused, if you want a lawyer to represent you, if you have been invited for an interview and you want somebody to assist you or to appeal the decision, some of those decisions are very, very ridiculous. Don't go far. Citilaw Solicitors is here to assist you. Nationality law, if you want to make passport application or register your child as a British or to naturalize as a British, we are here to assist you. If you want to seek asylum, we are here to assist you. So you can see, we cover every area of the immigration law. Employment law, this is the area that is close to my heart, so close to my heart. And I'm so thrilled when I make money for the clients, get those maximum compensations. And Citilaw Solicitors, we work as a team. Therefore, in this employment law, we work as a team, and those of you watching us, some of you will testify. Just 3 days ago, some of our clients, the amount of compensation that we secured for them. And if you have suffered discrimination at the workplace, don't go far. What we have noted is that there is a pattern. There is a pattern of employers dismissing people or employees for absolutely no valid reason. You know why? Employees don't have right to unfair dismissal until they have been 2 years in their job. That's why employers always dismiss people who have not been 2 years in their job. But most of those dismissals are also connected to discrimination. And for those of you who have been following me, I have spoken a lot about discrimination. So if you have been dismissed and you have not been 2 years in your job, and you want a lawyer to advise you whether the reason for your dismissal is a result of your protected characteristics or perceived or associated discrimination, Citilaw Solicitors is here. Let me take my time to explain briefly what I meant by perceived discrimination and associated discrimination. Associated discrimination is where you are not the person who has the protected characteristics. When I say protected characteristics, you could be a black person having suffered unfavorable treatment compared to a white person, but more importantly, another black person from different ethnic background. When I talk about race discrimination, people always think that it's about white and black. No, that's fiction. The fact is that discrimination can happen between an Indian and African, Asian and African. It can happen between an African and a Caribbean because they have two distinct ethnic backgrounds. And therefore, if you have suffered unfavorable treatment as a result of your race, your disability, your age, your sex, your sexual orientation, the list is endless. Those of you who become pregnant, last week I spoke quite convincingly about people's right to flexible working and why denying those people of those rights could amount to discrimination. So employment law is an interesting area for Citilaw solicitors, and obviously if you want to come to us, we are very much willing to help you. Family law, if you have a problem having contact with your child or children, we are here to support you. If you want to do re-registration, to change your child's name, we are here to help you. If you are suffering domestic abuse and you want a short route to indefinite leave to remain, we are here to assist you. If you want to make application to take that abuser from that house, non-molestation order, occupation order, Citilaw solicitors, we are not just solicitors, we are family law accredited. So when we are dealing with your family matter, you can only get the best. So those of you who perhaps are going through divorce and you want solicitor to deal with your matter, to maximize your finance, we are here to assist you. Also, we also deal with personal injury and clinical negligence. Now, with personal injury, it could occur as a result of accident at work. Most of you sometimes get accident at the workplace, and then the only thing your supervisor tells you, oh, stay at home for 3 weeks, the company will pay you sick pay. Please, you are not only entitled to company sick pay, you are entitled to financial compensation if you are able to show that that accident was not your fault. So don't be deceived that whilst you are nursing that injury, staying at home, being paid a pittance, being either company sick pay or statutory sick pay, and you think that you are resting, you are entitled to compensation for your injuries. So if you have any of those problems, if you had an accident at work and you want a lawyer to support you, Citilaw solicitors, we are here to help you. And for those of you who have motor accidents and you want a lawyer to help you, we are here to help you. So you see, Citilaw solicitors, we cover all areas. We are like doctors in law. When you come to us with your problems, we are here to solve them for you, whether immigration, employment. Hey, let's not forget, those of you who own companies, we also specialize in commercial dispute and civil litigation. So if you have a company and you want a lawyer to advise you, if you want to do an investment, you've got so many documents, you want a lawyer to get that point where you understand what the governing law is, what the jurisdiction is. Most of you enter into contract and you get into trouble. We want people to understand that it is always better to seek legal advice, because when you are sick, you go for consultation with your GP and get prescription. You don't fall sick and then let it get worse before you eventually look for a doctor. Maybe if it's a cancer, it has eaten so much into your system. So if you want to have any of these issues and you want to seek advice, we are here to help you. Obviously, consumer law has spoken much immensely on this platform about people's right under the Consumer Rights Act. I said that it's like the Bible. Once you quote it, the shop owner or whoever is the business that once you take away that your consumer right, just flees like the devil. So we also specialize in that. Housing disrepair, dams, mold, wires hanging around the house, landlord not fulfilling their duties, they are taking the rent from you. We are here to get compensation for you for your injuries. So if you have a housing disrepair problem, don't look for us. Citilaw Solicitors is here to help you. That's what Citilaw Solicitors can do for you. And for those of you who have just joined me, tonight I've been looking at how you can avoid the cancellation of your student visa or your sponsorship or skilled worker visa. And it's been so interesting taking viewers through all the stages. At this stage, if you want to phone, I've said that the phone lines are open. They are on the screen. You can phone in, and I'm going to obviously be here to answer your questions. In the next few minutes, I'm going to give a summary of what I've done for today. And I'm sure that those of you watching tonight, you might have learned something tonight, because I've taken my time, even though I'm doing this alone tonight. On Thursday, MC Chaka is going to resume duty, he's going to be here. And of course, we are going to have the same program in the tree session. I want to thank all of you, Emmanuel C. and Kwame there, who are watching, Charles Malfo watching, I have John Ayana Ba watching, I have highly favored Priscilla watching, I have Anna Fusua. You've been there for some time. Thank you for coming on board tonight. You know, I have really missed you. I have Ebenezer Amponsa also watching. I have Freddie Kwao Asare. Oh, Mr. Kwao, how are you? Thank you so much for also joining. I have Frank Quentin watching. Frank Quentin, thank you so much. I have Fred Asare watching tonight. I have Alberta Frema Papa B. Alberta Frema, thank you so much. Kofi Amountain, oh, I love you so much. You're always here to support this program. I have my one and only MC Chaka, Joe Chaka Nikwe, obviously, who hosts the program in the Tree language on Thursday, is also watching. I have Chrissy Owusu Boche, who is watching. Thank you guys who are joining the program, making this show a success. Chrissy Owusu Boche, thank you so much. Ebenezer Ponsa, I'll say, hello, please, can I get your number? Can somebody put my number there for Ebenezer Amponsan, who wants to have my number? Ebenezer Amponsan, somebody is going to put my number there for you to have it, both the office number, if somebody can put the office number and my phone number there. I have Richard K. Alhija. Richard K. Alija, I hope I've mentioned your name properly. Thank you so much for watching tonight. I have Dora Frimpong, who is also watching. And Dora, thank you for coming on board. I have Sam Aqua, who is watching. I have so many of you watching tonight. I have Kwame Ofori Chire. Thank you so much. A good evening, lawyer. I have Nana Aku Sika Adote. Na Aku Sika Adote. Thank you for also coming on board. Na Aku Sika Adote. Thank you. I have Mami Apia. Oh, Mina, how are you? Also watching tonight. Thank you so much for coming on board. I have Emmanuel Ni Bote Alabi. Ni Bote Alabi. Thank you for also coming on board. I have Okafo Dominic Chioma Vivian. I'm sure this is one of my Nigerian sisters. Okafo. It may appear to be an Igbo name. Thank you so much, Miss Okafo, for watching tonight. I have Dora Frimpong, Rafo Frimpong watching, Akwasi Achampong, and Seth Anderson. I'm so thrilled to have you on board tonight. Thank you so much for joining the program. I have Alfred Dong, Kanya, Alfred Dong, Kanya. I'm sorry if I have not pronounced your name properly. Thank you also for watching the show tonight. So viewers, as I've said tonight, I've looked at how people can get student visas, how people can make applications under the skilled worker route, the frontline care workers, be it nurses, and all skilled workers. And I've also looked at the fact that that precious visa needs to be protected. And I've looked at how to avoid the cancellation. There are very minor stuff that when people don't do, their visas get cancelled. So I started by looking at the fact that if you're a student, if you want to come to school, you obviously need to make application to get admission. Once you have got admission, you need to satisfy the maintenance requirement. Obviously, to get admission means that you need to have some relevant qualification. And once you've done that and you've gotten the visa, that visa, you'll be entitled to come with your family member, which includes spouse and children. But once you've gotten that visa, people get to the entry point and they are stuck. Because the first condition that can lead to the cancellation of your student visa is if you are 28 days or more late for the program. So if you are 28 days or more late for the program, so let's say you got that visa in Ghana because your parents probably were struggling to mobilize funds for you, you were slightly delayed. Or because your flight, for one reason or the other, you couldn't get a ticket that is cheaper, you waited too long. When you get to the border, and I hear these cases all the time. Yes, it makes me busy, but I'm giving this free advice because most of these people are friends and families that we want them to avoid these problems. So please, when you have gotten that student visa, especially, I'm not talking about dependents who can come in anytime, but the student themselves, if you are 28 days late for that program, or more late for that program, your visa can be revoked at the entry point. If you come in and you have problem with attendance, again, I've already said that most of these schools have sponsorship licenses, or all of them, in fact, have sponsorship licenses, which is what I've been preaching about all along on this platform. And they also have conditions that they need to fulfill. So if you come in and you don't show up, they have a duty to report to Home Office. And if they report, Home Office may cancel your visa. But the point is that most times, people are deceived because they are holding these visas and they think they are okay. But the fact is that there is a watershed effect. Your wife or husband and dependent children under 18, they will also have theirs revoked, simply reason that yours have been revoked. But the point is that if you are working, you must be very careful because within term time, you don't have to go beyond 20 hours. If you do, Home Office, as I've said, they are like the police officers. On the street, they may not stop you because you will shout discrimination. But if someone reports you, they start investigating you and they get into your life. So when you are making your application to renew your student visa or to switch to a skilled worker, that's when Home Office may come up and say, oh, you once breached your condition because you are working more than 20 hours in a term time. So I want people to take note of these 3 points that I've just explained. But the other point, more significantly, is the frontline care workers. Those are the people who are now having the opportunity to travel all the way from Nigeria, Ghana, and they don't need any qualification other than English language. And all that they have to do is B1 test, speaking, listening, writing, and reading. And they will be able to come here, provided they have a sponsor. And we have been doing application for most of you who have CQC, those of you who have doing the care workers, domiciliary, and all kinds of care work, and have businesses that are registered. It's so simple. The process takes just 8 weeks, and we'll get you a license. That license will allow you to recruit from abroad. And you can bring your family member, because the only condition in that particular requirement is the visa or the post which you are advertising has to be genuine. There is nothing in there that you cannot offer the job to your brother, your sister, your father, your mother, except that that job or that vacancy has to be genuine. So this is an opportunity for those of you who own care companies to take advantage of it and recruit globally. And if you have not had this license and you want somebody to assist you to get a license, Citilaw Solicitors, we are here to help you. I've said that we now have priority service that you will pay extra £500 and then you just get a license within a matter of days rather than waiting for the normal 8 weeks, which costs £536. But having said that, I also said that the general skilled workers, which includes a manager, social worker, a nurse, a lot of you are nurses who are working under the skilled worker route. Apart from the frontline care workers, which became operational on the 15th of February 2022. So if you are in a skilled worker route, then of course, I have said that the first point is that there is income threshold. And for care workers, you will normally have to pay them not less than 20,480. For skilled workers, it's normally around approximately 26,000, around 25,000. So if you are paid less than this amount and you are going to switch or apply for indefinite to remain, it's most likely at that point you'll be told that your visa should have been cancelled because you did not meet the conditions. So I want people to be aware of it, because I know some of the businesses that we are representing, they are not even aware that these people need to be paid that relevant amount. All they know is that they give them the certificate of sponsorship, they get a visa, and that is the end. It is not. So people have to be mindful of this first point. The second point is unauthorized absences. If you have skilled worker visa, frontline care worker visa, nurse who is on a sponsorship visa, you need to be mindful of your absences. For somebody who has indefinite leave to remain, British, EU, who is living here, these days when I talk about EU people, I need to be very, very careful with my choice of words, because you can have an EU person who may be living here illegally. So, obviously, if these people get into a problem of unauthorized absences, the highest consequence might be dismissal. And even that, I have said that we can sometimes challenge it. But for you, unauthorized absence could lead to your visa being revoked for the simple reason that that visa, you need to be with that employer. And there are statutory grounds for absences. You need to have a sick note to cover the absences, or maternity leave, or jury service. There are limited grounds for you to have absence. So any other absence that is not agreed with your employer could result in your sponsorship visa being revoked. So people should take note of that. I have also said that you have that visa. Yes, you can do, under the conditions, you can do ancillary work, which means that you can work for your employer and do some work somewhere as a top-up. But you cannot simply change your employer. But most times people have those visas, they think that, oh, once I'm here, if I'm not happy with at my place of work, I can jump to another place and continue working. You end up invalidating your visa because you cannot change employer except under transfer undertaking, under the employment law, what they call to pay. And even under those circumstances, that new employer who has taken over the existing employer needs to have a license or apply for one within 28 days. And most importantly, if you are continuously receiving low wage or low salary, that's also another ground for this visa to be cancelled. And of course, these two areas that I have discussed, there is what they call watershed effect, which is the effect when your wife or husband and dependent children's visas are equally revoked. Because all these categories of visas that I have discussed tonight, you have the opportunity to bring your wife and your children along, and the visa fee is very low. So I want people to know that they have to be careful with these areas of their condition. For students, most times, some of them are not even aware. Dependence could lead to revocation once the main student has had problem with their own business. So tonight, it's been privileged having you on board. And obviously, I'm so happy that people have come to join the program. And I want to thank all of you for being part of this program tonight. Of course, we are here on Thursday. On Thursday, I'm going to be here with MC Chaka, who is going to host the program in a Tree language, and we will take our time to explain everything in Tree, so that you watching me or your family member who want to listen to our Tree version on Thursday can benefit from the Tree show. So I want to end this program by thanking everybody who has come on board to watch the show tonight, and I want to urge you to share this video. Please, each and every one of you should share to at least 5 people, because this show, which is free of charge, will benefit someone out there, either in Ghana or here, or somebody who owns a care company and doesn't know that he has to get a license to recruit people, that he can even recruit family members. Accept that the job has to be genuine, the post, the vacancy has to be genuine. That's all the condition. There is no restriction of recruiting a family member. So please share this video. And for those of you who want to apply from Ghana, Nigeria, to come under this route, I've already explained to you the conditions that you need to satisfy, and the fact that with a sponsor, you are free to go or to come with your wife or husband and dependent children under the age of 18. Thank you so much for watching me tonight. It's been a pleasure having you on board. Citilaw Solicitors is a one-stop where all your legal problems are resolved. Thank you.